I'm Miss Badger, and these are 10 tips and tricks for Pokemon Quest. Pokemon Quest is a game where you go to an island and you get Pokemon to battle other Pokemon. And battling Pokemon over here is a bit different than battling Pokemon in other areas. For one thing, you don't battle using turns. Yeah. In this game, turns are overrated. And for another, Pokemon can do serious damage. And they can attack multiple times in just once. So they are something to be wary of. Okay, let's begin the video. Tip 1. Use the scatter button. The scatter button is a button where it just says. You scatter. You just scatter. You move out of the way. This helps you avoid attacks and a lot of other nasty stuff. Like this. Never mind. I think I have to use a stronger example to show you. Okay, so let's just wait for this to pass on, and I can show you a different example. So, here, exampling of the reason why you should scatter. When you press on the auto button, the scatter button disappears because, it's auto. That's how it works. Its scattering is very useful, especially if you want to avoid attacks. While it won't be as useful in early game, in later game it is definitely a very useful perk that you should take advantage of. Okay, tip number 9. Pokemon varieties. So for this, you probably want Disher because, it is kind of weird having just one Pokemon, just one type of Pokemon, like an entire team of Onyxes. That just sounds weird. No. What you want to do is have like a different variety of team. Like, maybe you want to Lapras over there, Tentacool over there, that sort of stuff. This is very useful later game and current game, and you will get to do that. Also, I really do suggest a really good idea is to have at least one ground type and one water type, because water types in this thing have really, really good stats for HP. I might suggest poison types, but no bug types, please. Bug types are just they die to everything. Okay, another suggestion. Okay, tip number 8. Type varieties. Actually, not type varieties. Cooking pots. Be sure to just activate every single pot ever. Just get every single dish done, get every single pot. You'll get stronger and stronger. But don't ever use a gold pot. It's the best pot, but it's also the worst pot. Because the Pokemon over there, it's really, really hard to get evolved them. So I suggest using either a silver pot or a bronze pot. Okay, tip number 7. Do not use auto. Auto is just this little button over here that you just press that allows it to attack on its own. But the problem is, you do not have any control. Like, you cannot do anything. There is no scatter, and you can't move out of the way. And auto can make a lot of mistakes. Like, for example, attacking when there's nothing to attack. And not to mention, it's really easy to get hurt with effects. Sometimes it can have good judgment, but a lot of times it's just a bad idea. So don't use it. Okay, now, Tip number Tip number 6. When you're on your journey, immediately press the scatter button. When you see Pokemon that can explode. For example, Execute, Voltorb, and Electrode. Those are the 3 Pokemon that you want to avoid. Why? Because they can explode and do massive damage to your team. As for getting one on your team, that's also a really bad idea, considering that they might actually explode at the wrong time. Another thing you want to do, usually you want 2 different movesets. So you really want really, really nice variety of movesets. So a moveset is like this, and the color of that move will determine what type that move is. So you should really get to using it. If you don't use it, you're not thinking straight. Another thing, get to somewhat of an average level. Like, an average level is like a level that you can hold down and hunker down upon. It's a basic thing. Please, do it. Tip number 5. I'm sorry, I already said tip number 5. I'm sorry. Tip number 4. You want to progress through these things as fast as possible. But sometimes you just might land on a challenge that you just cannot beat. I know, it's happened to me as well. So, let's just say that here you are on a different battle area, and you just find a world that you just can't beat. Like, you get bested at it every single time. Like, look at this. Looks like I'm actually going to win this, but you'll see. Yeah, you'll see. Eventually, you'll see that I lose. This thing. As you can see, I am trying my hardest. Okay, you'll see I lose this. You will see. Yep, as you see, here I am. I have lost. So what you want to do if you find one that's just really, really tricky for you is, switch between practicing it and not doing it. Like, go into some lower levels and try and you do those. Yeah, you'll be able to passively level up your Pokemon and possibly even evolve. Oh, wait, speaking of which, tip number 3. Evolving. So when you're trying to evolve Pokemon, I suggest that you take your stronger Pokemon, remove one of those stronger Pokemon, and put in the Pokemon you want to evolve. That way the stronger Pokemon can sweep the entire thing and get rid of a few pesky stuff. And then you can evolve it really, really fast. And you might even get an amazing moveset. Okay, now, tip number 2. So, yeah, that is it. That's it. Okay, for tip number 2, it's really, really, really a good idea to find a Pokemon that knows a certain move that can put a certain that can put an effect on it. A Pokemon that can use an effect can be like, a Pokemon that can make a Pokemon go to sleep, or maybe a Pokemon that can make a Pokemon paralyzed or confused. Those are Pokemon that are really, really useful and that you just really, really need to have around, because that is kind of like what makes a perfect team. You kind of need that. Otherwise, you're doomed. And finally, tip number 1 is not a tip. It is just a simple thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Yes. Thank you. Okay, let's get to the actual tip. And tip number 1 is always, 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 always try and level up your Pokemon with Pokemon that are absolutely useless and that you have no use of. That's it. That's the tip. Okay. Bye.